this is kind of like a weird filming spot, and just, I guess, not really what I tend to film. But as of lately, I've been editing a bunch of videos on how I feel about collecting and how the scene has changed so drastically in the span of, I would say, the past 6-7 years in particular, and just like how con culture is changing and everything. I've been feeling like really nostalgic for the old days of collecting, of just like otaku culture, and I hate to say the word otaku, but ultimately that is what's applicable to at least my interests. I don't like being as self-deprecating to say weeb. Like, I'm okay being cringe and saying otaku because it is unfortunately true. When it gets to a point when you're so entrenched in collecting in the different facets of culture, whether it be like model kits, particular figure lines, whatever, like, and I unfortunately do fall into that. So I don't want to be like the self-aware kind of anime fan, whatever, and call myself that one. Ultimately, I feel like the way that I partake in my hobbies, it differentiates me from a lot of how people do now, especially like with anime, whatever. And I know a lot of people like me have noticed a big shift in that culture, and how like a lot of people who denigrated us for having these hobbies probably like 10 years ago are now like getting into it. And like, no shame, like if they grow up and they find their own hobbies and place in the sphere, but I feel a little pushed out as someone who's been a very big fan of this sort of thing for most of my life. So I've been making just a bunch of videos that I'm editing, and I'm gonna upload like a bunch of them. And this is kind of like a more impromptu like slop video, as I say, and as I said in past videos. I guess it's a coffee chat because I have a drink, but it's just grapefruit juice. So my little reading corner, which is just pillows and plushies on the floor next to my bed. Which is so, yeah, my little garbage corner. So I am doing a little manga unhaul. This is my first one ever, because I am looking at my collection and downsizing drastically. I will be listing a bunch of my collectibles on eBay and Mercari if anyone is interested. So I'm trying to get these passed on to my friends first, just because I would rather, the way I view collecting is rehoming first and resettling second. So I want to get these to a place that I know they'll be enjoyed, and in a place that they will have like a long-term home. And if that doesn't line up, then I'll put them up on my Mercari, my eBay, and whatever. This is the first time I'm ever doing like a manga unhaul. Normally I do like, and calling it an unhaul is kind of unserious in and of itself, but typically I just go through my books in waves, and I'm like, what have I not read in a long time? I'm a big reader, so I've always gravitated towards manga rather than anime, just because it's ease of access for me to just like find scans, and like I would read them in class ever since I was like 11. And it's kind of like that my whole life. I would rather find a PDF of a book than watch a movie, just because it's going to be easier for me to like take a book everywhere where I can't watch a movie everywhere. And it's the same with anime. Like it's easier for me to just download manga on my phone for the plane than like a full anime series. And so like normally I would do that with books, but I haven't done it in a very long time, just because I was like in a happy spot with all the books I've had. But now I'm like, okay, I'm really cracking down. I need to figure out what I need to part with, because I am going to be eventually moving overseas to be with my partner. So without further ado, I'm gonna go through my manga collection, like the ones I'm getting rid of from my collection, and I will probably be doing more of these in the future because I do have quite a bit of manga. I might do the same with my books one day, we'll see. And I'm definitely going to be doing the same with my figures. I actually have a couple that I already have for sale, because I couldn't rehome them ultimately. So like I have an Oscar price figure, a couple of my Sonicos I might be parting with. I have to downsize the Nanami collection because currently those take up like 3 shelves, most of my bed, like 2 Ita bags, half the walls in my room. I don't know why I like that man so much, but yeah, as I said, without further ado, let's get into the books. Like that manga I'm parting with. So first, it's going to be Shaman King Volumes 1 and 2. I had a big Shaman King phase. Actually, it was right before I got into Yu Yu Hakusho and Bleach that I found Shaman King, and it kind of was like, I was really on that afterlife kind of wave. I ultimately ended up really only sticking with Yu Yu Hakusho because I was very disappointed with the direction Bleach ended up taking. But Shaman King was a fun introduction. I ended up watching the anime. This is many years ago, and a lot of these I did get at a secondhand bookstore. I believe most of these are secondhand, because that's another thing about me is I've always preferred secondhand. I just like the feeling of finding something that I think I'm gonna enjoy and like getting into a series that way. That's what happened with a lot of my favorite manga, like Requiem of the Rose King and Library Wars. I found Library Wars at a flea market, volume 1, in the middle of nowhere, and that's like my favorite shoujo of all time. Requiem of the Rose King introduced me to my favorite artist, and I found that in this same secondhand bookstore. I found a lot of these volumes. I don't know, I think there's something special about finding something, it's speaking to you. One of my first manga ever was actually a secondhand book, and that's going to be a video in and of itself, just because it is a mystery and I can't find volume 2 anywhere. There's no scans of it. It's like it doesn't exist. But as I was saying, Shaman King, I really love the art. It's always been super cute to me. I love older Shonen Jump series, whereas like newer ones don't really have the same, I don't know how to explain it, like the same aura. This, just the art style alone, I picked it up, actually. I remember finding it and being like, oh, this kind of looks like Yu-Gi-Oh! And I picked it up. And I ended up just liking the anime a lot, but I never really kept up with it. I've only read the manga like a couple times too, so this is going to be a no-go for me. But this one, I remember seeing original concept by Stan Lee in the secondhand bookstore for Ultimo. I feel like a crazy person anytime I talk about Ultimo, because I did read the rest of Ultimo on Mangaka Lot when I was like in middle school. So I was like, what the hell is any of this? It is not very memorable or very good. It is a very generic series. And it kind of reminded me of Chobits in the sense that it's like little robot creature doing the willing of their master, but it's kind of weird and has weird undertones, and I don't really like it. So Ultimo, I read once, and I was like, damn, this is really mid. So, and it's just been sitting on my shelf. This is one of the manga I forgot I owned, actually, because it was hiding behind one of the shelves of my Nanami shrine. That is definitely going. This one kind of hurts, but it's really beat up, and I like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist. It's alright. I would just rather watch the anime, to be honest, for the nostalgia. Like, and that's like a laundry folding show for me at this point, but I literally only have volume 1. It's not very good, and you can literally just watch the anime. It's really beat up. It was like $1 at the secondhand bookstore, I think. So, yeah, this one, she's out of here. Love Yu-Gi-Oh! However, this happened to me a while ago when I had some odd volumes of the Kingdom Hearts manga. Love Kingdom Hearts, but literally what am I gonna do with volume 3 of Kingdom Hearts 2? I really only do that if it's like an arc I really, really love in a series that I read primarily online. Or if I can't find like the scans anywhere, like fine, I'll buy the manga. Next, yeah, I was a big Naruto fan. I was that bitch who during, 11, 12, 13 years old, I was wearing my Naruto headband to school. I had Naruto socks. I love no, I don't know. This the Akatsuki X Reader fix on like fanfic.net and Quotive. I was on that wave. Hidan. That was Pookie. Dataron, Hidan. Those are my faves, but Naruto, I don't know, it's just one of those series that you end up outgrowing when you are like a full blown, like really into just manga, I think. I do think Naruto, it's like, it has an inescapable cultural aspect to it. It's like Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto. You really can never escape them. They are, like, iconic for a reason. I did iconic in quotes, but, like, even if I didn't like Naruto, I would still enjoy, like, the iconography and stuff just because it's so pervasive, I think. It's just such an omnipresent part of just anime culture. Even con culture stuff today, like, still, there's so much Naruto, and it is loved and revered for a reason, but at the same time, I've grown apart from it. This is kind of like the Harry Potter of manga to me, if that makes sense. Like, the older I get, the more I see, like, some of this stuff is just not very tasteful, or well done, and you just grow apart from it. Like, you start to lose kind of that rose-tinted lens that made you fall in love with something, and that's me with Naruto. I still hold a very special place in my heart for Gaara. Like, that was one of the Nendoroids I was insistent on getting, like, and that was, like, a dream thing that I got the Gaara Nendoroid, the rerun they did, I think, like, 2 or 3 years ago. And I have, like, some Gaara plushies and stuff in my room. I love Gaara. But the rest of Naruto, I'm just, I'll watch it if it's on. I can have a conversation about it. I still have opinions and feelings about it, but ultimately it's just something that I've outgrown. And I only have volume 1, so I'm comfortable parting with it. If I had, like, the full box set of the original Run of Naruto, or even, like, some Shippuden, like, I probably wouldn't get rid of it, but I just have volume 1. It was a secondhand book that I found, so. The next one, Haikyuu, I remember getting this brand new when the English version was announced, because I remember seeing on forums that it was very popular in Japan. This is back in the day when I had, like, my forum signature be Haruhi Suzumiya doing that little thing at the keyboard, and then I changed it to Kirino from Oriaimo with the pen on her lip. That was when it was only season 1 coming out, okay? Like, don't judge me. I was also young and stupid. I was like 12 and 13 with the forum signature. Do not trust me with that. But I remember seeing Haikyuu really talked about on the sports sections of the forums I was on. Scanlations are still very popular for Haikyuu because it was like an up-and-coming series. And this is like in that time period that I was into like Kuroko no Basket, Free, a lot of like, sports anime that iShield 21 was another one that I really liked actually. But Haikyuu was highly talked about and I really wanted to get into it. I did enjoy it. I watched like the first 2 seasons, but it was never something that like I remember hearing about like the 2020 Haikyuu TikTok craze. I was not on TikTok. I kind of just stay in my little timeout corner, but I was never that crazy about Haikyuu. Free will always live in my heart. Unfortunately, it is. I am from the days of like the Yaoi Paddle and Hitalia. I'm literally sitting on Russia. But yeah, Haikyuu is just never really clung to me the way other sports series did. And I only have volume 1. It's not one that I'm ever going to really complete the collection of, so this is also going out of the house. This is probably controversial. Your Lie in April, volumes 1 and 2. I love Your Lie in April. I remember watching the anime when it aired and sobbing my eyes out. I did read the whole series through my library at first, and I checked it out multiple times. This was Going no Katachi before Going no Katachi. Like, that's what it was to me. I did really enjoy it. But I only have the first 2 volumes, and this is one of those series that has stayed in my mind so long, and I recall it so well that I've read these volumes once. I got it after I read the series a million times from the library. And I've like opened these like once. It's not like Kimi no Tsudoke that I have, Kimi ni Tsudoke, like I have volume 1 on my shelf and I'll pick it up and page through it sometimes. These are just like, they've barely been opened. It's like, I don't even like Toradora, but I'm keeping my Toradora volumes. Because I'll still like, when I argue about Toradora, I'll go like page leaf through it. I don't do that with these. So these have to, I don't see the point in keeping books that I'm not gonna treasure and read. Like, I love Your Lie in April, but I would rather part with these. And honestly, some of these are in such good quality, like such good shape, that I'm probably gonna donate them to the library. this one I'm giving to a friend, because one of the things that did bring me to get closer with a lot of my friends, especially like in my little awkward, I had a hard time kind of getting along with people and talking about things, but Ruby was one of like a very special series for me. I still have the giant poster of Roman Torchwick on my wall because I'm coping, but I got it at Kmart, actually. Ruby's just one of those series that I fell out of love with also. After Monty passed, unfortunately, it did decline in quality. I think it's very telling that my favorites were Roman and Mercury. You could probably tell from that statement alone how I feel about the direction Ruby took. I was a very annoying Yang and Mercury shipper. I wrote Fix It Fix for years, and I orphaned them. So don't even think about going looking for them, Diva. But Ruby, I loved it a lot. I've just grown really far apart from it. I basically sold all my Ruby figures. I have like one shirt from Ruby as a pajama shirt. One of my old wallets is a Ruby wallet and it's super beat up. There's like remnants of it, like the Roman Torchwick poster. But yeah, the rest of it's just like, I don't know, like this is the one final thing that I could part with, you know, breathe free from being out of the clutches of Ruby. I think volumes 1 through 3 will always be very special to me from the show. But again, it's a series that I've seen 1 million times over. This is an adaptation of, I think, volume... This looks like volume 2. But it's also like it's a lot of non-canon stuff in here. The art is beautiful. It has beautiful pages. I just haven't opened it in years, so I'm going to be sending this one off. Next one, I didn't even remember that I owned this because I hated Escaflowne when I finally got into the anime for everything and I read some of the light novels for Escaflowne. I was really bored. I did not like it. I got into it shortly after Full Metal Panic, which was a very big series for me. Like my first online tag had to do with Full Metal Panic. And so I found this one, like, during my Full Metal Panic craze at the secondhand bookshop. And I hated it. The art is cute. But I do have a soft spot for, like, that very 90s manga style. The inking is really cute. I think it's nice in its own way. Just... It has some charm, but otherwise it's a very corny, overdone. I leafed through it when I was going through my shelves. I'm like, oh my god, this is as boring as I think it was gonna be. Because I haven't opened this since I got it, and I found this years ago at the secondhand bookstore. Yeah, like I said, the art is charming, but it's a nothing burger. It's a nothing burger story like most of Escaflowne. Sorry if there's any Escaflowne enjoyers in the audience, but guys, she's mid. Oh my god. Okay. Hibi's Magic, I saw this, again, secondhand bookstore, fell in love. I thought the art was so cute. I've also always loved, like, little magical girl stuff, little witch stuff. It's cute. It reminded me of, I can't remember the name right now, but it's that little robot maid that she does, like, oh my god, there's like figures of her, like the little model kits of her, and the different models of her. I'll remember her name when I'm editing this, but I really liked her when I was like growing up because of the forums and like toy threads and stuff. The art reminded me a lot of that. So I found this, I thought it was really cute. I picked it up. So this character here reminded me a little bit of Marissa Kirisame, so I was like, oh, I need this. And it's okay. It's nothing special. The art is very, very cute, and I will probably go back and read this. I did just mark it as to read on my anime list because I do need to keep it updated. Like, this girl reminded me so much of that. Oh my god, I can't remember. I think it's just an H. The little, like, household combat maid who's also a tiny robot. Does any? I'm gonna put it on the screen probably. It's driving me crazy. But this one. But yeah, I marked it as to read because I've been kind of going back and finally trying to keep up with my anime list, because it's missing years and years and years worth of stuff that I have read and watched, but, yeah, I mean, I want to get back into this, but, again, volume 1, I got a second hand. I would rather, like, put this in a big manga haul or something, or just, like, give it to someone. Finally, Mugen Spiral. This is a 2-volume, like, Tokyo Pop series, and it's kind of like Fruits Basket if it was about demons, like Oni stuff. It's like Fruits Basket meets Inuyasha, and it's mediocre. I'm not doing a great job on selling these series, you know. I don't really want to, like, sell these books. I would rather, like, give them away. But I never read volume 2, and that is the problem with, like, 2-volume series, is that volume 2 tends to be harder to find, especially if they're, like, deep cut. One of them being, like, the first manga series I ever got. I've been looking for years, and I cannot find volume 2, and I need to know how the story ends. It's been driving me crazy since I was, like, 9 years old. Mugen Spiral's another case, but I could probably easily find in scans. I've just never bothered to. It's, like, only 12 chapters, so I'm probably going to binge it after posting this video. But this is another one that was sitting behind the Nanami Shrine that I forgot existed. And I think me forgetting something exists and not looking for it actively is already a sign that I should be parting with them. So that is the full stack of them. That's not as many as, you know, someone who does, like, manga unhauls, and it's like 30 volumes. But for me, this is a big step, just because I've been collecting and holding on to things for so long and trying to rationalize holding onto them for so long, that what I've been doing lately has been really good for me, and really good for me to, like, reflect on how things serve me, and if they serve their purpose and brought me a sense of fulfillment or not. I've been getting rid of, you know, like, the collection of Littlest Pet Shop and Swinkies, like, all those older toys I just held on to because I grew up playing with them, but they don't mean as much to me as something like some of my plushies, my Lego sets, stuff like that. So I've been trying very hard to downsize to prepare for my move. It's going to be a very laborious process to get everything that means something to me overseas, like my huge vinyl collection, which I might do a video on if anyone's interested. And I still have vinyl that I need to ship out to friends, actually. If, you know, Archie, if you're watching this, I still have the Crimson King and Donovan album that I put aside for you. So, whoops. Yeah, so I'm probably going to do more of these in the future, just because it's been nice to kind of sit and talk and think about what these things mean to me, and just parting with them. And yeah, expect a bunch more collecting videos soon. I have one on making my own yaoi paddle. I have one on Ita bags. I have one just on, like, my figure collection. So I'm gonna just keep doing this, and I'm also gonna keep working on my essays. I know I say that all the time, but Final Fantasy XIV has left me with a lot to think about, and has really reframed my way of living and my perspective on things. And I just have a lot that I had sitting in the drafts, and I'm trying to find a way to refine everything and set it up. So talking about Rosin Maid, and talking about Lisa Frankenstein, talking about all these things that have had a chokehold on me and mean something to me, I'm going to do hopefully a rotation of my otaku stuff and my essays, and just kind of keep it as it's always been here, that it's partly personal and partly academic, and it's wholly me. So thank you all for watching, and see you soon!